Was a girl running in our group. She had a high-speed motor in a 40 Ford Coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look out, buddy, hot rod and large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod.
We have a lot of different things we talk about, and I just was talking about scandals in the car business, and there's a bunch of those. You remember, Chuck, you remember, was it 2 weeks ago, I talked about a fire that broke out in a General Motors factory in Michigan. That was December. Well, I got to tell you, a fire that broke out at General Motors factories zero, they call it Factory Zero for emissions, in December resulted in more than $1 million in damage and sparked concerns about the protocol for battery fires at the electric vehicle plant, the first of its kind for the automaker and the city of Detroit. In other words, they just now got these electric batteries started catch first time. And of course, the city of Detroit said, how do you put this out? Nobody knows. The December incident marked the 8th or so time the fire department has made a run to the plant since the summer. Dennis Hunter, chief of fire prevention for the Detroit Fire Department, said, the battery's volatile chemistry makes them more prone to catching fire. EV batteries, that's a new hazard that we're dealing with as a country right now, Hunter told Crane's Chicago Business in an interview. We're currently working hand in hand with Factory Zero for a better response plan. We are working with them to improve how they handle these EV batteries going into thermal runoff or catching fire. And I tell you, Chuck, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. After all these years in the car business, everybody says, oh, you're just too old. You don't like the electric cars. That's not it. I don't have a problem with electric cars. I think it's a great idea. I have a problem with lithium ion. That stuff is just too volatile, Chuck.
I suspect that what will ultimately happen, I don't know. Have you ever seen those videos of like a military hangar and the guy accidentally, because apparently they have a foam suppression system like in aircraft hangars. And every once in a while, some kid in the military accidentally pulls the pin and floods a whole hangar full of foam.
He foams the hangar.
He foams the whole hangar. It was like a big foam party. But I mean, I imagine that ultimately you're going to have a solution like that where they're going to say like EV
some kind of chemical
repair facilities, even any kind of shop, even maybe parking garages. They're going to say, well, now you have to do $1 million upgrade on your parking garage so you can smother an EV fire, assuming that even works.
Well, they have parking garages, the big cities, that will not let EVs park anywhere but the ground floor because they're so heavy.
I've seen specific garages where it says no of this EV or no of that, and it doesn't say like Tesla, for instance, but whenever there's a recall or something, there's like a chalkboard that says no EV. This EV is not allowed.
No, and then there's other garages that won't allow EVs at all because they catch fire.
Right.
And there are no charging systems in garages, public garages. There's nothing. That's just a no-no. Those are the ones. That's where they catch fire the most.
Well, you do see some of those, and that does have. I mean, you've read the airport, for instance. Here in Chicagoland, they just redid the airport. There's a bunch. There's a huge state. There's a whole floor almost for chargers and stuff like that at the airport. And so I was wondering about that. It's like what special fire suppress? Because if one of those EVs goes up and there's 20 other EVs in line, that whole building is gone.
Oh yeah, they had that one fire where they were building those trucks at Rivian or wherever it was, Fisker, I forget. But they had those trucks all catch fire. One caught fire right down the road.
Right,
took them all.
And that's what I'm saying is at a certain point, that fire is so hot and so intense. Now the entire parking garage structure is at risk.
Oh, absolutely. It's just concrete.
Yeah,
it can only take so much heat.
So you're almost going to see a scenario where they're going to make them have their own little pod in the parking garage or something.
I don't know what's going to happen with that. They need to get rid of lithium ion. We need an alternative source. We really do. If it's going to be a plug-in hybrid, it should be a 110-volt plug-in hybrid where we don't have massive voltage going into this thing, causing heat and causing friction and causing fires, because that's where they come from. These cars cannot take the cold. They can't take the heat. They have to be regular. Lithium ion has to be burped like a baby, for God's sakes. You got to hold it and cuddle it and burp it. Otherwise, it's going to catch fire and burn you down. I got a little story here, Charles, that I I think we've been dancing around, and I have been dancing around it. You haven't. I have. The chairs of two House committees asked the president's administration to investigate 4 Chinese companies they say are involved in Ford's planned Michigan battery plant, according to a letter seen Monday by Reuters. This is 129, so this is a few days ago. The previously unreported letter said the 4 Chinese companies have direct ties to the Chinese military, Chinese Communist Party, North Korean government, and alleged human rights abuses in China's Xinjiang region. Can you imagine living? Where do you live? I live in Xinjiang. Huh. Ford said it follows all government regulations across our business. Yeah, right. You find somebody to build a cheaper battery, you'll take it, and don't tell me you won't. Republicans have been probing Ford's battery plant plan for months over concerns it could facilitate the flow of U.S. tax subsidies to China and leave Ford dependent on Chinese technology. Ford says their battery plant is wholly owned and operated by Ford. We'll see. We'll see. I don't trust the Chinese farther than I can throw them anymore. The different things they're doing. I don't think we should rely on them. No chips, no nothing. We should do it all ourselves. Or try. At least do the best we can to try and do this. And if you don't think people are running for the exits, the rats are leaving the ship. Bosch, that's probably the world's biggest supplier of aftermarket or any kind of market parts for manufacturing, repair, you name it. They're big. Well, in Berlin, actually Berlin, Bosch wants to cut 1,200 jobs in its software development division by the end of 2026. This is from a company spokesman said on last Thursday, confirming a report in Handelsblatt Daily. Handelsblatt Daily? The spokesman said talks with employee representatives had yet to start, referring to the proposed job cuts as planned but not yet finalized. The main reason given for the move, which sees 950 job cuts in Germany alone, is the significantly slower than expected development of fully automated driving. This is from Handelsblatt report. A weak economy and high inflation caused among other things, by increased energy and commodity costs, and they are getting high, are currently slowing down the transition, the company said in a statement. So, the price of everything just went through the roof. Cobalt's gone up, lithium's gone up, everybody's buzz. And you know what? They're going to charge more for it because they can. Magnesium, all this crap that they got to have. The Chinese are just bumping prices up like as fast as they can get them up. They're crazy. Renault, and this is another one, Renault had all set up for an IPO, initial public offering of their stock. CEO Luca De Meo said in a news release Monday, after the close of trading, that the cancellation of this IPO would have no impact on automakers' financial guidance and its capital allocation strategy. Renault said it would continue to fund Ampere. Ampere is a subsidiary until it reaches break-even in 2025. The unit includes all of Renault's electric vehicle activities, a group of factories in northern France, and about 10,000 employees, including engineers. Whew. Electric vehicle focused spin-offs and startups, having to duplicate the success of Tesla, have had mixed success in the public markets. Just last week, oh, this is cool, Geely's, that's Geely is from China, Polestar, which went public in 2022 in the United States, said it would cut 450 jobs and has been tapping its backers for funding as its share price remained in the doldrums. There's no money out there. And there's no people are not, they're not buying into this the automatic driving, they're just not. They're not buying into it. And you can't make them. You can't make them. Autonomous driving is not going to be the end-all, wear-all for having a car. It's not going to happen, Chuck. It's just not.
Well, okay, so that's always been my argument, though. It's interesting. I've been reading articles because, in Tesla, for instance, they've had to crack down. I always tell that story about the guy who was reading the newspaper one time and the Dan Ryan. So they had to crack down on, finding ways around not being attentive. And so one of the new things that they've done is, and I have to dig into it a little bit more, is basically, you have to have your hands on the wheel and you're ready to take over at any time. And people that are used to using the autonomous program are saying that Tesla ruined autonomous driving because of the safeguards that they put in place. So,
how do you ruin something with safeguards?
Well, but that's the question: is did they ruin it, or were you expecting more of it than it?
Yeah, were you looking
to take a nap while your car drove you, and we're not there yet?
You were looking to get in there to sleep off that hangover on the way to work,
right? And so that's always been my argument: is the autonomy is meant to be an aid to the driver. When you're taking a long trip, you just let it do the work. I always look at autonomy as basically a combination of intelligent cruise control and lane assist and stuff like that. It's not meant to make tough decisions when you're downtown. It's really meant for just long distance highway driving.
Well, Tesla even had a program that if you went to your parking garage or wherever, and it was down the street or wherever they parked it,
right,
you could hit your app button,
the retrieve feature,
and it would retrieve, and it would bring the car back to where you're standing.
And that's a neat feature. I mean, imagine you're at the grocery store and it's raining, and you can get the Tesla to come to you. I mean, it's a neat feature, but also it's one thing where you can see it and it's coming out of the parking lot. It's another thing when you use it and you're halfway across town, or I don't know what the distance limitations are. But at some point, it should basically be line of sight or something like that. But again, it has an application. It pulls out of the garage for you. It pulls out of the parking spot so you can put groceries in.
Yeah, I don't want to have to be able to push a button and have it come from home to pick me up at work. I don't need that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, is that the long-term plan? I don't know.
Well, I suppose it could be.
Because again, I mean, even the idea of the charging station, imagine the idea of the car drops you off at work and goes to the charging station, and then you retrieve it when you're done, kind of thing.
Oh, and if you're not going to be there to plug it in, you're going to have somehow to get it charged while you're not there. Right. And they have those strips that you can pull over that charge the car automatically.
Right. Well, and we're seeing more of those. We talked last year about INDOT in Indiana. Florida is working on that. So there's a lot of people that are working on that technology where you may not even need to plug it into a charger. It may be something where it drops you off at work and it goes and sits at a parking spot that's set up for this inductive charging.
Well, see, but this goes back to my main argument, my main crybaby rant, that we're working on all this kind of technology, but we're not working on infrastructure.
Right.
We don't have any juice.
Right.
We have no electricity. And of course, Biden, they're putting 500,000 chargers in. Well, guess what? 500,000 chargers is spit in the ocean. Let me just tell you. That's not even close to being anything good. That's not going to take care of any problem that we might have. 500,000 is nothing. That's the state of Illinois. That's all that is. So get ready to see a lot of money get spent. But if it keeps cooling, the desire and the need or the want for these electric cars keeps getting cooler and cooler, you're not going to see any more charges going up. Now the people that have electric cars, where are they going to charge them? They don't have enough chargers. You can't go cross country yet. There's no, you'd have to really plan. Plus, you're going to be staying overnight some places. It's just not. They're working on everything but what they really, really need. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I wish they would. I wish they would come around 180 degrees and say, okay, we're going to make this an electric country. You want an electric country? We're going to get you some juice. They don't do that. We're going to give you all these electric things and you figure it out. That's not working. So everybody, Elon Musk is being copied again. Ford Direct has unveiled an e-commerce marketplace with software and service vendors curated to help the 3,000 Ford and Lincoln dealers it serves to streamline, modernize, and do their jobs better. In other words, they're getting ready to get rid of them. Think Etsy for dealerships, the auto industry version of the App Store for mobile devices. They're going to sell direct like Tesla. Like those sample examples, the shop platform organizes outside software but is targeted to dealers seeking to improve workflow or customer interactions. With the initial selection of 8 companies, the shop debuted on January 16th. This is not going to work. I'm sorry. I mean, the dealers are going to go bye-bye with it. The American-made cars have to have someplace to fix. We traditionally don't make our cars as well as everybody else. We need dealerships. We need mechanics. We need service bays. We need a lot. And I don't think that's going to work. We'll see what happens if Lincoln Mercury's doing it or Ford's doing it. Ford, Lincoln, Mercury. Then somebody else is going to do it too. They'll jump on it. GM will be right behind them. Every time one of the big 3 does something, somebody else is right there to pick up on it too. That's how it works. I don't know, Chuck. Selling direct that's today's people. The young people want to buy.
Well, that's what I've been
off
coming
their
back
phone.
to is that it becomes a model of if somebody had to choose, would they choose because specifically, it's like one of those, I'd love to have a Ford, but I don't want the hassle of going down there and haggling someone to buy a Tesla
Exactly.
instead, or was it Hyundai on Amazon or whatever it was. And so you may find this, I think it was Hyundai, wasn't it, that they're doing the Amazon thing. If they see a 10% boost and they're selling a bunch of cars on Amazon, they go, well, that's the model.
There you go.
The model that people want.